I am Joey Cofone. I'm a designer and entrepreneur in New York City and the co-founder of Barren Fig. So as a designer, going through design school, I paid attention to all of my fellow design classmates and the tools we were using. And we all had two of the same thing, two primary tools, which were the laptop and the notebook. And the laptop was always the same, it was a MacBook, and the notebooks were always so different. Different sizes, different paper types, different brands. So I asked myself, what's the deal? Why can't we get this ubiquity in the notebook area and make a tool that everyone wants to use? And so we started there. We sat on this idea, me and my co-founder Adam Cornfield. We didn't do anything for like 2 years. And finally Adam was like, well then let's just do it. I was like, let's just solve the problem, let's give it a shot. And it clicked that night. I had an idea of what I wanted to make, which was a cloth-bound book that was actually really nice, and it opened flat. Super simple, there's just two things. So I ran home and I took the notebook I had that I was using at the time and I wrapped it in painting canvas. So like I used masking tape, it's disgusting, it's up on the shelf, and it took the idea into reality. As bad as it was like something I could show to Adam the next week and be like, look at this. This is something, this is the start. And that helped us bring a final silly prototype that I made to a real prototype maker who then sat down with me and broke it down, told me to come back in 2 weeks. She was like, I got this, I'll see you later. And I was a little nervous, but when I showed up, she handed me a book. It was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. I think when you create something bigger or try to do things that aren't your own skill set, you have to trust that other people can also pull it off. So we put it on Kickstarter, we took photos, we created the story, and we told people why we were doing it, which is because creating things is important. And it's not just about what's in your book, but what's beyond the book. I think that's the big difference of what we do here. On Kickstarter, we asked for $15,000 and we ended up raising $168,000. So that's 11 times what we were asking for. After Kickstarter ended, we sent all the books everywhere around the world and we got them out on time, and we launched our site, barrenfig.com, shortly thereafter, where we could sell now finally to everybody in the world, not just through Kickstarter, but through our own store. And that was about a year ago. Now we've got 2 new products, the Apprentice Pocket Notebook and Mosaic, the digital notebook on your phone. Barren Fig, the name, came about, it's quite serendipitous. So I was sitting with Adam and our friend, and I was dating a girl at the time whose last name was Barren. I know. And I told him I really like the word Barren. How, can we work with this? And so our third friend immediately said fig. And we were like, Barren Fig, that sounds cool, what does it mean? So I looked up the etymology of Barren and Fig, right? Where do these words come from? And it turns out Barren is a symbol of Apollo, which is the god of order, and Fig is a symbol of Dionysus, the god of chaos, and they're brothers. It's basically a yin-yang name, which means order and chaos. And we interpret it as discipline and impulse, right? So and I think it's really appropriate for art and creativity, because you do need the discipline to practice and practice your craft and get better at what you do, but you need the impulse to play and have fun, because I think that's the only way to come up with really new things, interesting things. Our brand is mostly purple with yellow accents, and the purple is wine colored for Dionysus, and the yellow is sun colored for Apollo. They all just fell in place. Our projects are a huge part of what we do. The projects don't have the books in them, most of them, or if they do, they're just not talked about, they're just actually just being used, right, as a part of whatever the people are doing. The projects are about creativity and what people can make, and interacting with sometimes strangers, sometimes artists, to make something that has meaning to us, which then translates to having meaning to our audience. The poster project was the first Barren Fig project, where we got 12 artists from around the world, and we gave each of them an inspiring quote. The other restriction that we gave them was the Barren Fig color palette. Each of them went off, and in their own style, they interpreted the quote and made a poster out of it. And we made 50 limited editions of each. sold them, and all the profits went to the makers who did it. The Bookworm Project, we collaborated with an artist on the West Coast. His name is Jeff Jovia, and we nailed a bunch of our confidants to a board, spreads open, and at the top of the board it said, "If I could not fail, I would, ... And then we carried around to different parks in the city. So people, strangers walked up to the board and we gave them markers and they filled out all sorts of things, funny, touching, things that meant a lot to them. Building the Barren Fig brand has been super fun as a designer, right? And getting to curate what the brand says and the brand message and how it looks and keep it, I guess, really honest. But having made that brand, it's like that is now my visual language all the time. And that can keep you stale, that can make you suck. So I make a iPhone wallpaper every day that relates to the day before, and it's not the Barren Fig brand, right? It's not the fonts, it's not the colors, it's not the style or the language, and that lets me keep that creative practice and that spark, and then it carries back to the business.